Hi, and welcome to the Sassy Mares podcast, where we dive into the most controversial topics in the equestrian world.
We give our unfiltered opinions and say the things that others won't.
With 4 hosts from different backgrounds, we bring a mix of perspectives, experiences, and even a few debates.
So saddle up, it's going to be a fun one.
This episode is sponsored by Hills Farm Equestrian Academy. Are you looking to improve your horse care skills or just starting your equestrian journey? Hills Farm Equestrian Academy's Horse Care 101 sessions are perfect for every level, from beginners to experienced riders. These hands-on sessions will help you build confidence, boost your skills, and connect with these incredible animals. You'll learn the basics of grooming, feeding, and daily horse care, while also gaining the confidence to handle and work with these horses on the ground. Whether you're fresh to equestrian life or just looking to refresh your knowledge, Horse Care 101 is designed to make you feel comfortable, capable and ready to care for horses with ease. The journey of learning with horses is endless, and at Rathlane Farm we're here to guide you every step of the way. Don't miss out on this opportunity to grow and thrive in the equestrian world. Visit Rathlane Farm Equestrian Academy today and start your journey to becoming the confident equestrian you've always wanted to be.
Hi, welcome to the Sassy Mares podcast. I'm Robin.
I'm Ellie.
And I'm Amy.
And welcome to episode 4. This episode is going to be about, does green and green equal black and blue? So, what do you guys think? Do you think a green rider and a green horse is always going to end in a bad situation?
Yes.
No, actually.
I feel like
End pod.
I feel like somewhere down the line, whether it's you, whether it's the horse, whether it's your mental health, whether it's the horse's head, something's going to end up black and blue.
Right.
But then, do you think steps could be put into place? Obviously, I know the finances come into this quite a lot, but do you think steps could be put in place? Say the rider has weekly lessons, lessons in horse care and management as well as riding lessons. If that was an option for weekly, do you still think it would be?
Yeah, but I also think if people have that much money, they're not buying green, they're just going to buy a schoolmaster. So that doesn't really happen.
But people take a notion they want the young horse to put their stamp on.
They don't have a stamp yet.
But
You have to go to the shop, buy the stamp before you can stamp something.
See, I've been in the position, I was a green rider and I bought a 4-year-old.
Okay.
And it's my current horse and I don't think she's turned out the worst. But I do think I was lucky with the horse that I got.
Yeah.
She's always been quite sane. She's always been a wee bit gooey, but she's always been a very good girl. She's never been nasty. She's never been a bucker or a rear or anything. She's always been very, very sensible. My only regret is not getting lessons sooner, and I think that really shows now. So we're trying to undo a lot of what was put into her when she was younger at the moment, now that I know more. If that makes sense. All I knew when I got her literally was walk, trot, canter. That was literally it.
That was what she knew or what you knew?
What I knew. I literally knew kick meant walk, kick meant trot, kick meant canter. I didn't know how to school a horse, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know how to sit a horse and how to ride a horse, but I didn't know how to actually school a horse to benefit the horse's body.
Yeah.
I literally just knew, I wasn't just out of riding school, I had already had 2 horses, but they were both one was an older gelding that knew a lot and he taught me a wee bit, and the next one was she was another younger horse, but she wasn't a baby. She was quite sensible.
Yeah.
She was just small, so I ended up selling her to buy Pepsi, and she was quite green. I think she'd only had a couple of rides under her and only jumped for a few fences for her for sale ad, is what I was told. But I don't think it turned out the worst, but I do think it was down to her having a really good headspace.
Yeah.
And I was quite lucky to be where I was at, that our yard owner was very knowledgeable and helped quite a lot in the first few months that I had her. Just my only regret is not getting lessons off a decent instructor. Yeah. Because the first few that I did have, when I realised, I probably should know how to ride better, they taught me bad things sawing their mouth.
Yeah.
So then she learned a false contact, which is what I mean, this is what we're trying to undo now.
Yeah.
So I don't think it always ends up black and blue, someone's always going to get hurt. But I do think it depends on the situation of having a support network that I was lucky enough that I did have. And I also had a sensible horse, because not all 4-year-olds will be as sane and as good as her. She never stopped the fences. Mm-hmm. She always, was very good to hack. Yeah. She's always been really easy.
Yeah.
See, I think as well, there's sort of an aspect where people think, oh, I'll just get this cob. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if it's 3.
Yeah,
it's just a cob, it'll just be safe. Yeah. Or the same as in, I really want a horse, but I don't have a big budget, I'll just get
and
See,
off the track.
That was kind of the issue I was in, that like I wanted a horse but I didn't have a massive amount of money. And I wonder if that's what a lot of people end up in. It's like horses are expensive, especially
What's the worst that can
nowadays.
happen if I just buy?
But not even that, like you don't have the money to buy a schoolmaster to teach
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the times the only thing that would be within your budget are young horses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be it a young cob or a warm blood, like a lot of the times they are younger, and obviously like you were saying, the ex-race horses,
Yeah.
like they're always the cheaper type of horse to buy.
I think, well, see, my first horse that I ever loaned, I would say was very green, and I got very black and very blue. But also, I think I sort of needed that because he was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, he was always looked after to the utmost. Like, it was never like a care issue in that regard.
Yeah.
It was just, I had to get better very quickly.
Yeah, you learn fast.
Yeah, and you sort of had to learn what was best for him very quickly, and it was just, I don't know, I think like that taught me a lot. Like, that really benefited me.
See, I was just thinking there, I said before we started recording that I was never green and green, but I actually was in between the mare that I had in between Rory and Elsie.
Yeah.
And I physically didn't end up black and blue, but my confidence did, like big time.
Yeah.
Like to the point where I didn't want to canter a horse, and when I went to try Elsie, she basically was like, you have to canter her, you can't take her without knowing what she feels like under like cantering with the saddle. And I cantered her and I was like, because the other horse had put the fear of God in me, because she was just green in the way that all she did was walk to our canter at a wild pace wherever she felt like, and she was really bad on the ground, and that made my confidence black and blue, not physically me, but it did do some damage, like big time, that I'm still getting over now.
But then again, I think there's a lot more in place now. Like, see, whenever I first, like, I was like 13 whenever I got my first loan horse, and there was not, like, it was like, you know, get your horse fend for yourself. Like, there's so many more, like, on social media you have a lot of options and you can research a lot more. There's more inviting platforms for you to find things out.
Online lessons and stuff that people
and people are really into like being with horses and not necessarily riding them, like to improve your horsemanship. Like,
a lot on the ground now,
like those lessons weren't really a thing.
No.
Whenever I started, like, do you know what I mean? That wasn't a thing that you did whenever I started. Whereas now, you know, that's a lot. That's really readily available.
Yeah.
And if you're committed enough.
I do think, like, coming out of a riding school, I do think it is sensible if you're in the position to get a part loan for a while.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like a good step up from a riding school horse to something that isn't going around, you know, 4 hours a day in a circle.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a good place to be, and then it also would teach you a little bit of like how to actually look after a horse, because a lot of the times in the riding school you don't learn how to actually manage a horse.
Yeah.
Like, you don't learn how to muck out, you don't learn how to pick out their feet, you know, you don't learn how to tack up, you know.
Yeah. It's just sitting ready for you, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, the only way I really learned to tack up was when you almost get to like the top of the riding school, where then you're almost like preyed upon as like free labour to like tack up a lesson horse because someone's running late, you know, kind of like that. But you know, other than loaning, like, unless you had some decent money sitting, like, it would be hard to get a horse that isn't almost green.
But I also think though there is like, so we were saying about how he's kind of, a lot of people get the cheaper horse, like the thoroughbreds and the cobs, but people with money often just go like, don't need to do part loan, we'll buy one for the kid. And then the only time they actually know what they're doing is when the instructor is standing there telling them directly what to do. So say they get 2 lessons a week, that's still, how many days in a week? That's still 5 days out of the week that they are green and green together, and the horse is not getting like looked after properly or whatever.
I feel like if you need to have the right attitude for it. You need to be aware
that you are green,
that you're green, and you need to be willing to accept help and guidance. So like, if you have a good support network, like say it was me and you two were experienced and you could help me out that way. I had an experienced yard owner and instructors on hand, and say horsey parents would probably help too. I would never technically be alone as green and green.
I think that's almost why mine sort of worked out, because I did have an experienced yard owner. She was always there when I needed her help. You know, she was a qualified instructor too, and she did give, I mean, you were there, like we used to do like lessons and stuff, you know, maybe once a week. Like, I would help her around the yard, and in return I would get a lesson. And then very good, I was taken out to like shows and stuff, and you know, I always then had the eyes of someone experienced to help me.
She would have warmed you up and stuff as well.
So you know, that I think that was probably one of the reasons why my situation of being green and green worked. Also, that I had a horse with a sensible head. Like, she was almost like an old head on young shoulders or something. That's what the saying is. Like, I think I was quite lucky, but I can understand that it wouldn't always work out because some horses can be quite like explosive when they're green because of like the unsure and like they're not familiar.
Yeah. I just think it does all come down to being aware. Like, see if you're going to go into going class.
But then sometimes if you are coming, like, I thought I was the bee's knees in the riding school because I was like, as I'm saying, you were at the top, you were like the owner's like right hand man, you know, get this pony, bring this pony in, you know, attack this one up and do that.
Yeah.
You thought you were the bee's knees because there was no other progress to go. You were almost, you rode the difficult horses or the fresh, like, you know, the fresh ones, and like you jumped like the new ones when they came in to make sure they were like sane.
Yeah.
So you do think you're like, and then you go and get your own. You're like, right back down.
Yeah. Like, I remember getting put on little whizzy ponies. Like, I think whenever you left a certain riding school, I was like, you're like up and coming. Like, I stepped into your shoes. But like, I remember like
spot there for you. Have it warm.
Thank you so much. So considerate. Like, I remember like little ponies coming in and being like, yeah, this thing's mental, like, will you get on it?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah,
you thought that's because I didn't do the riding school. I missed out.
You also went, are you? That's no.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't experience riding enough horses. I think I can count in one hand how many horses I've ever ridden in my life.
That's crazy.
That is wild. Like,
like,
we could probably go down the alphabet and have at least one for everything. Maybe not Zed. Like, I think Zed would be a hard one.
Oh no, I bet we could get a Zed.
What about next?
like a Zulu or a Zara somewhere.
Yeah. Bound to be something.
But yeah, I think that might be a whole part of the reason why I was not coming off the riding school, but I was coming off Rue, who did make me think I was class, and then I was like, sure, I can ride, like, and then I got back, and I was like, no, I'm not class, I can't ride, I just cannot ride horses, and I then believed that I didn't like horses, I only liked Rue, which was what I had been thinking, and then my owner was like, no, you do like horses, like, you can ride, and I was like, you lied to me, I can't, and then I got Elsie, I'm like, no, okay, it was just that one.
Yeah, it was just over 14 hands.
Yeah, it was just too big.
It was like 15 hands. He was
But
like,
then that was my experience of green and green not working out, because like as it says, I wasn't black and blue, but my confidence was, so something got black and blued.
I don't know if I count as green and green because I would say I'm very green as an owner.
Yes, but you were an experienced horse person.
You'd done a lot of loaning.
Yeah, I loaned for years. I loaned from I was 13 until I was 22.
And then Marino was technically a part loan, but he basically was a full. And then you went from him to Archie, who was a full loan.
Yeah.
So like, you were pretty experienced in looking after your horse every day.
That's almost like a good progression. You went from part loaning and then you worked up to a full loan and then you felt ready to buy your own. Like, I feel like that's a very, very smart way to do it. Because you got to see loads of different aspects of horses, how to care for a variety of horses, some that may have like ailments that you would never have known of, to then buy something. You know, I do think that actually was very reasonable. I don't know if that was your plan, but it worked. It seemed like it worked out.
I tried to be very like, okay, you go from a riding school, you go for a riding school, and then I went from one riding school to a sort of riding school that would take me a bit further, and then I went from them to part loaning, and then part loaning to pretty much a full loan setup, and then I went from then total full loans, and then bought Benny.
So I did it so differently. I did riding school. I was in riding school for a while, and then I bought a horse. Then I started doing like my GCSEs and like didn't really have the time. Ended up selling the horse, and then I stopped riding free. I did it for ages. Like I stopped, and then I ended up finding a part loan, and then the money was the same for a part loan as it was to keep a horse on livery. And then an opportunity came up to ride Cookie, and then I ended up buying Cookie, and then I sold her to buy Pepsi. So it's like I felt like I wasn't green for Cookie or Tango, or like the loans. Like I felt like I knew what I was doing for the horse of the level that I had. Yeah. But then it almost felt like I was green when then it came to buying Pepsi, because she was like, nobody had really ever touched her. Like she'd been rode and broke obviously, but she hadn't really done a lot, if that makes sense. Like, she was still very like, you know, you put your leg on, your leg went woof.
Yeah, she was a different kind of horse as well. She was a sport horse who was bred to jump, sort of. So she would take a lot more than what they would.
Yeah, where it was like
a lot more knowledgeable.
Riding Cookie, like Cookie was just, you know, you were like, go on, Cookie, go on, like, you know what I mean? Like, she just, she was young, but she did everything. Yeah. You know, whereas like Pepsi was like a completely different type of horse, like you said. So it's like I did it in a weird way. I went from like riding school to owning. To owning.
Yeah. See, I'd never had a horse before I got Benny. The youngest horse I'd ever, I think even sat on, was 12.
It's not, yeah, like pretty experienced then. So.
Yeah, it was always like 12, and then any horse I'd ever loaned, I think the youngest might have been like 15.
Not Archie.
Before him, he doesn't count though because he was so like mature.
He was like a 20-year-old in 4-year-old's body.
Yeah, he was class.
He was lovely, yeah.
He literally
He's like a well-behaved king.
he was so well behaved. He had like he had no faults. He had no vices.
Yeah,
he is actually the
good boy.
definition of like the ads that you see on Facebook that everyone lies about, but his was not a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he had no vices.
Yeah.
He never did anything wrong ever. He was just perfect.
I love horses like that.
Yeah.
They're so fun.
Yeah.
There's literally been like Archie. Marino, if Maria wasn't scared of tractors.
Maybe it's just the name.
You know, it was a wee fucker sometimes though, but it wasn't. It
Not
was,
to me.
he kept you on your toes kind of fucker. But
Every Archie I've known has been a good boy. So maybe
Maybe I need to change his name.
you just need to always buy Archies.
maybe that's where it came from. The bad luck from changing his name.
I know, I always think that all the time actually.
Did you
Regularly.
change his name?
He was called Oscar.
Did no one tell him this?
She called him Benny because his name's Benjamin. No.
Benjamin Button.
His name's Benedict on his passport, so she took Benny from Benedict.
Oh no.
He didn't look like an Oscar.
He did not look like an Oscar.
I actually think you might be right. Like the bad luck maybe has come.
But it's
That's
not
like
like she didn't pull it out of her ass and call him like Mac or something random. Like it was Benny,
Hey,
which is
where
from
was
Benedict.
Oscar from? Hi, interesting. Like old wives' tales.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
wonder-
think about it all the time.
I wonder how many are like true.
I wonder
Like-
is green and green equals black and blue. And all
Is
that.
that
Yeah.
maybe?
That is TikTok that dated back to like the 15th century.
While they're scrolling down a rock or something, you know.
But has that not been a saying before?
That's what I was
TikTok?
going to say. Yeah, I've heard that.
I've never
when I
heard
was
that
younger.
before.
No, I heard that when I was younger. Like
That
I,
does seem,
8
oh,
years
green
ago.
and green is black and blue. That's very granny to
Can you
me.
stir your cauldron?
I feel like the saying, like the green and green. Like I that can't be a recent thing. Like I've heard of it before.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is a bit of an old wives' tale sort of thing.
I might have stayed to the party then, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Routine.
You're an old head on young shoulders.
I actually am mentally about 400 years old.
So I think it's a hard one. I don't think all the time green and green equals black and blue, but I feel like you need a good support network and probably a sensible horse for it maybe to go right. But everyone, no matter what type of horse you have, how experienced you are, or the horse, everyone's going to run into problems. Like you said, mentally it can make you black and blue, if not physically.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everyone's going to have a fall.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to have a bad day. I don't necessarily mean like having green and green people is going to mean it's going to happen more often, but I do think you need to be responsible about it. Understand
Yeah.
that you've bought a young horse and you're green,
Yeah.
and you need a support network.
I think it's all about your mindset.
Yeah.
Like you
Definitely.
need to be aware and you need to be self-aware of what level you're at.
Yes.
Do you know, don't be delusional about it. Just and
No.
there's no shame
There's
in
no
being a
shame.
green rider.
Or having lessons.
Yeah.
I love lessons.
Yeah.
They're so fun. They're
Like
so
if
fun.
you can be honest with yourself about what
Mhm.
level you're at, there's no shame in it. There's nothing to be embarrassed about.
No shame in asking for help.
Yeah.
Like everyone asks for help. The horse world is constantly changing and evolving. There's always new things to do in it. Like
Yeah.
everyone learns. Every top level riders are still learning.
Yeah.
Absolutely no shame in asking for help when you need it.
And there's so many resources now
So
that
many.
you can go to. Like, can I do a little plug for somebody I know?
ChatGPT.
Amy, any thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, well, I was very hard set on like, yeah, you're going to end up black and blue, but I suppose your story changed my mind, I guess. As you say, if you have a right support network and probably a bit of money will help.
Mindset.
And mindset, yeah, it is. No, it is. It's mindset over everything. If you know you're green and you know your horse is green and you're aware, you might be able to take enough like steps to not end up black and blue. Hopefully,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I mean, I'd still recommend green. And what's the opposite? Gold.
Green goes.
What is it? What is it when the horse is not green? Just
Good boy.
good boy,
Yeah.
green and good boy. Or yeah, I just think it's just better to do it that
And
way.
also, if your confidence does end up black and blue, it can be fixed.
Yeah, get a black veil.
A little black fella called Elsie.
No, nobody take her.
If anyone wants our yard address.
No.
So for the experts arena on this episode, we're going to hear from Craig Hills, who is a BHS accredited event coach. So he has sent us a little voice note that we will play.
My name is Craig Hills and I am a BHS senior coach in eventing. My background pretty much is young horses. For many a year I've been backing, breaking and producing young horses for a variety of disciplines. So green and green equals black and blue. I don't think I can give a real straightforward answer. Does a green horse and a green rider work? There's many things to consider. There's so many variables to consider. You know, how green is the green horse? How green is the green rider? You know, how long is a piece of string? There's different levels of greenness. I think the really important thing to think about is the support network. So if you have a green rider, a green horse, do they have access to a range of qualified trainers? Do they also have access to a range of riders that could support them? Many a times over the years I've backed young horses and they'll go home and there'll still be a bit of a period where I touch base, the owner may have a lesson, the horse may go a little bit green and I'll hop on and give them a hand. A lot of the time some people may sort of hit a bit of a roadblock, but then when they watch someone else do it on the horse, that can fill them with confidence and then get them back on track again. Set up facilities and the transport is really important. You know, do they have adequate facilities at home to educate a young horse and give them variety? So do they have hacking, access to a school? They don't have school. Do they have a safe space they can ride the horses in? You know, young horses need a variety of things to keep them mentally and physically stimulated, as well as riders. If the rider's green, they need to be able to educate themselves on riding the arena, going hacking, riding outside the arena, going up hills, going down hills. I think also goals and expectations. Some people buy a horse and it's all about, right, I need to get to this show, I need to get to go do this and go do that and jump this height. Whereas with a young horse, it's 5 steps forward, 20 steps back. It's never going to be smooth, plain sailing. I sometimes find, for example, you know, I take a young horse out schooling and yeah, I'd love to go jumps and jumps, but it's how does the horse load? How's it travelled? Does it seem settled when it gets there? What's its body language like? Does it feel settled? You know, on 2 occasions recently, I've taken young horses schooling and I've actually gone for a walk on a trot round and I've jumped no jumps, but they've had a real good experience. And for a green rider, they may potentially lack that experience to read the situation with a greener horse. So that's where the support network really comes in handy. So, you know, a greener rider, greener horse, they may not be able to read the situation, whereas the trainer or the rider may be able to step in and say, actually, this is what we need to do. The horse a little bit green, let's change tactics. Focusing on what I sort of touched on briefly earlier when I was saying how a bit of a support network I've had over the years where I may back a horse for somebody and it's very much not like I've backed the horse and say see you later. You sort of touch base with them, you might give them a lesson, you might need to hop on the horse every so often, or they may want me to take the horse to the first show just to give it that real first positive experience. I've had a situation recently where a rising 3-year-old, a very lightly backed, very well bred showman horse, and the bloodlines it had, they're very well known for being quite sharp. And the horse was purchased for a more mature amateur rider. So on paper, people probably say no, it's not the ideal combination. In the 3-year-old year, I very lightly backed the horse, and it was very apparent from the word go the horse had temperament to die for, very easy to lightly back. Anyway, so long reined him, had a little walk and trot around, and off he went to the field. It was the best place for a 3-year-old to be. So he stayed out in the field until he was actually 4. So his 4-year-old summer, he came back in and did a little bit more long reining, walk and trot, added a little bit of canter, and hacked him out. And again, everything was very easy, straightforward. Attitude was brilliant. So there was no kind of hesitation that I thought, you know, this horse would be suitable for this rider. So again, as he was rising 5, brought him back in again, and then started a bit of changeover. So I'd ride him, his owner would hop on, have a lesson. So there's a little bit of a changeover period rather than me just waving goodbye and see you later. And then she regularly came and had lessons, and I jumped him at his first show, and we still see each other, and if she's got any questions, I'm at the end of the phone. A good example there of a green horse, a green rider, but actually it all went to plan because there was a good plan put in place and there was a really good support network, so it's all happy. On the other hand, I've seen situations where green amateur riders have bought schoolmasters and the horse has been there, done it, but actually it hasn't gone to plan. Just because a horse is experienced, potentially you could buy a schoolmaster that's been produced by a professional and it's used to being managed in a certain way, ridden in a certain way, and then you put an amateur on the horse and it doesn't always go to plan because they're not used to being missed at a jump. With a green horse and a green rider, it also gives them the opportunity to grow and learn together. And touching on what I said about, you may have a horse produced by a professional is always managed in a certain way, ridden in a certain way, and then everything changes and it just doesn't work. Whereas with a green horse, it may get very used to, if the temperament is right, a green, potentially wobbly rider, and it learns that actually my rider's not always going to be correct, they're not always going to be balanced, it's not always going to go to plan, they need that fifth leg mentality, and that's what they learn to cope with all the time. So to conclude, green and green equals black and blue doesn't always have to be that way. Trying to think about being realistic with things that we control. How green is the horse? How green is the rider? What is our support network in, reference to trainers, riders that can help us? What is the setup? What are the facilities? Do we have access to transport? What are our goals, not expectations? Are we being realistic? It could be a real beautiful journey, having a horse and rider grow and progress together. So yeah, it doesn't always need to be ending up being black and blue.
And we're also going to hear from Tori Farr, who is the owner of Rathlane Farm, which is a local livery yard, and she's also an instructor as well.
My name is Tori Farr. I am the owner and manager of Rathlane Farm based in County Antrim. I provide a range of equestrian services, including livery, breaking, schooling and coaching. Recently I have launched Rathlane Equestrian Academy, a bespoke riding school designed not just to teach people how to ride, but to educate them on all aspects of horse care, stable management and the responsibilities that come with horse ownership. My goal is to bridge the gap between riding schools and horse ownership, ensuring that future equestrians are truly prepared for the journey ahead. I've been asked to share my thoughts on the phrase green and green equals black and blue. This is a topic I could honestly discuss for hours, but I will keep it as concise as possible. Like most things in the equestrian world, this isn't a black and white issue. There are many factors at play. In an ideal world, every horse and rider combination would be perfectly suited, matching both skill levels and needs. But as we all know, we don't live in an ideal world, and more often than not, riders end up with horses that are technically too green for them, and this is something I've encountered frequently as a yard owner and coach. There are several reasons that I believe this happens. Firstly, a lack of education and experience. Many riders transition from riding schools into horse ownership without truly understanding what's involved. Riding schools often focus on teaching people how to ride, but don't always cover the fundamentals of horse care, training and progression. Without this knowledge, riders may unknowingly purchase a horse that is beyond their capabilities. Secondly, budget constraints. More experienced, well-schooled horses often come with a higher price tag. Many riders, especially those purchasing their first horse, may opt for a younger or less experienced horse because it is more affordable, without fully considering the long-term costs of training and development. Thirdly, emotional decisions. It is easy to fall in love with a horse based on looks, breed, or a personal connection rather than suitability. I've seen many cases where a rider bonds with a horse and convinces themselves that they can make it work, even if the horse is too inexperienced for them. Fourthly, bad advice or lack of guidance. Some riders purchase horses without professional support, relying instead of well-meaning but inexperienced friends, sellers, or their own gut feeling. Without an experienced coach or trainer assessing the match, riders can end up with a horse that isn't suitable to their skill level. And finally, overestimating their own ability. Some riders genuinely believe they are capable of bringing on a green horse, underestimating how much time, patience and knowledge it takes to correctly produce a young or inexperienced horse. So, when we are faced with an unsuitable horse and rider partnership, there really are only two options. Firstly, sell the horse to a more suitable home and find a better match for the rider, or commit fully to the process of developing together. This takes time, consistency, financial investment and professional support. Now, I genuinely believe a green rider and a green horse can become a fantastic combination, but only if they have the right guidance. Simply sending a horse away for schooling won't fix the issues. Yes, it will help the horse's development, but unless the rider is also learning alongside their horse, the same problems will return. That is why I always recommend when I'm schooling a horse for someone that they continue with regular coaching after I have finished putting in the work. The rider must be able to support and educate the horse beyond those initial training sessions. This isn't just about booking a handful of lessons and hoping for the best. It's about committing to working with a coach long term, tackling issues from the ground up and creating the right experiences and routines to help both horse and rider grow together safely. I have had the privilege of working with many partnerships that on paper would be considered too green, but because they were willing to put in the time and effort, staying committed to the process under my guidance, they have gone on to achieve incredible things together, forming unbreakable bonds. And this is truly my favourite part of my job. No matter what decision a rider decides to make, whether that be to sell the horse and find a more suitable horse, or commit to a long-term training plan with a professional, what matters is most that they are making a choice to improve both their own experience and their horse's welfare. For those who do decide to sell and buy something more suitable, it is essential to avoid making the same mistakes twice. Take a professional with you when viewing horses, someone who understands your capabilities and goals. The real danger lies in inaction. A green horse and green rider combination without proper support is where things can go wrong. This is when riders put themselves and their horses at risk of injury, frustration and massive confidence loss. Ultimately, with the right support, training and dedication, incredible partnerships can be developed, but without it, that's when the phrase green and green equals black and blue tends to ring true. So I just want to finish by thanking the Sassy Mares for having me on their podcast, and I really hope that my professional opinion can give some insight on that phrase. Thank you.
So a massive thank you to our two experts for giving their opinion on the matter. It was great to hear differing opinions and different verdicts from two opposite ends of the spectrum, really, instructors and yard owners.
Especially because, they would have seen green riders on green horses, so it was nice to be able to hear that.
We are the green riders and green horses. They're the people, this is the support network that we need to not be black and blue.
Definitely.
This episode is sponsored by Rathlane Farm Equestrian Academy. Are you ready for the ultimate equestrian experience? Rathlane Farm Equestrian Academy's Ride Care Connect session is a 1 hour all-in-one experience that combines the best of our Ride and Thrive and Horse Care 101 programs. This session includes everything you need to develop essential skills both on the ground and in the saddle, from bringing your horse in, grooming, tacking up and enjoying a 30-minute Ride and Thrive session to untacking, washing down and returning your horse to the field. This session is packed with hands-on learning and fun. Whether you're a horse owner or someone who doesn't have their own horse yet, Ride Care Connect offers a perfect blend of horse care and riding. Grow your confidence, deepen your connection with horses and experience a truly rewarding equestrian adventure. Ready to take the next step? Visit Rathlane Farm Equestrian Academy and experience the Ride Care Connect session for yourself. Contact Tori via WhatsApp on 07454 939 355 for more information.
So for the listeners take the reins section, we had asked you, the listeners, for some of your submissions on what you thought about green and green and does it equal black and blue. So here's what you all had to say.
Hey guys, welcome to Listeners Take the Reins. I am not a listener. I am the fourth Sassy Mare, but unfortunately when this was filmed I was fleeing the country for some much needed R&R. I deserve it. But today we're going to talk about why I actually agree with green on green. So this is Hicks. Anyone who knows me will know this pony and know how much he meant to me. So he was my first ever sort of loan pony. And when I got him, he didn't know how to trot, he didn't know how to jump. I think he had hunted maybe in a past life and that was it. I had him for 2 years and we did a lot together, including tackless and some dressage, even as far as cross country and working hunter. But he was an absolute superstar and I wouldn't be the rider that I was today if it wasn't for him. Green on green definitely worked out for me and I'm sure it works out for a lot of other people as well.
My name is Bethany, an equestrian content creator from the north of Ireland. I normally share my journey as someone with albinism that causes me visual impairment, and this is my experience with green and green with my first horse, Bailey.
Do you think horses come into your life for a reason? Well, here's my experience. At 14, from a non-horsey family, I grew up going between riding schools, but I was finally searching for my own horse. I bought a supposedly riding 6-year-old thoroughbred unseen because I only watched him via FaceTime, which doesn't make us any better because he arrived with no passport. I did actually receive the passport in the post, but it was a sketchy move alright because Bailey wasn't 6, he was as pure skin and bones, burly back 4-year-old. Neither less, I think I was just happy to have my own horse, so I got the most starter pack tack and off I went. I paired up with a new riding instructor and after one lesson, a very dramatic one let's just say, I was hit with the "this horse isn't going to work out for you" card. Within 4 weeks, Bailey became very difficult to manage. He was biting, bucking, kicking, wouldn't pick up his feet. My parents sent him back for more training, but without going into details, I did some super secret research and I found out that Bailey was not in the best hands. He'd come from a place of just neglect and mistreatment. When I got him back, I immediately just checked off all possible health concerns, but I did just ride him in a head collar anyways because he wasn't comfortable with a bit in his mouth. At the time, I was only comfortable doing light work and little hacks around with Bailey anyway. My trainer seemed I was clearly upset with Bailey's behaviour and he offered me lessons on his wee cob, but for context, I actually took a step back from riding before I got Bailey because I had previous health issues affecting my own strength, so I took any chance I got to improve my riding. I left Bailey with my trainer for a week while I was on holiday, but before I left, Bailey really bit my leg and left an awful sore bruise, and it was just as well I wasn't planning on wearing shorts because it wouldn't have been a great look. While I was away, he injured one leg kicking the door, developed abscesses in the other, lost a shoe and was left limping in a field. My trainer said there's nothing much I could do for Bailey, but I did hear a little rumour that he said to another livery not to mention that he ever had Bailey because it could hurt his reputation. But that's all on allegedly, he said that. I took Bailey home and just gave him the chance to fully mature in the field. I started riding a wee mare for another livery and this wee mare honestly shaped my riding again. All summer I put so much work into getting Bailey to be comfortable picking up his feet. I mean the work my farrier went to get him shod. I didn't really do too much riding apart from hacks, I just wanted him to be a horse. Although winter came around and I had to make the difficult decision to part with Bailey. As much as I love Bailey, I don't think it was fair on either of us. The day came, I said my goodbyes to Bailey and I even gave his new owner a little customised Christmas tree decoration as a little good luck charm. It was ultimately the best decision because now he's enjoying life in luxurious fields with his new best friend. For me, I was back at riding school because I was preparing for my show jumping Ireland exam with the mare I originally rode, but as her arthritis worsened, my examiner helped me transition to the school. Until I found my current horse Joey, we've been on our journey together ever since. I do often wonder how things would have gone if I had the experience and knowledge I have now, but I know I definitely wouldn't be the same equestrian as I am today without Bailey. I definitely think he was still meant to cross my path because after what Bailey had been through so young, he managed to find his love and forever home. If you grow up with a green horse, green rider situation, I think it can help you personally to be more humble towards horses because you don't have these prodigious ponies here, there and everywhere. I believe it gives you that first-hand experience of realising that how difficult horses will be, especially when you're taking them up from youngsters, and gives you the chance to just appreciate success a bit more.
So let's move on to our little game this time. So we're going to do 2 truths and a lie, and it is based around when either our horses or us were green at the time, or possibly both. So who wants to go first?
I feel like mine are really bad, so I don't know if
I'll go first. So my 2 truths and 1 lie. I feel like Amy is going to have some insider insight because she was there when I got Pepsi.
This was a friendship that I inserted myself into the middle of.
But then I reinserted myself, don't worry.
Yeah.
Then I kicked Robin out and then she came back in.
But I don't have a best memory. I
Yeah.
remember really
Yeah.
random weird things, probably. So I don't know. Just go for it. We'll see if I remember it.
Okay. So Pepsi was the only horse I tried when I was viewing horses. I jumped her around an 80 to 90 centimetre course when I tried her as a complete beginner, and I don't know why I thought I could do that. And then when I seen her ad, I had scrolled by it because I did think that she was too green for me.
Is this 2 truths and 1 lie?
Yeah, so one of those
Okay, I do actually know.
is lie. Yeah, I thought you would know.
But I
Is
mean,
the-
I'll just let her guess first.
Is the lie that the first one?
No,
The lie is the jumping.
Yeah.
You didn't even count her.
I didn't.
She just trotted. I was like, yup.
This is off the back of me saying that I didn't let you take Elsie.
Yeah,
over.
yeah, I literally walked her and trotted her, and she was so tense. Like, I didn't know what that was though, but I know now
Yeah.
that she was so tense, and I was like, "Mommy, I love her. Ring Daddy." And then literally booked a vetting with Sean actually the next day and brought her home the
that
day
makes me
after,
sick.
and then I went on holiday for 2 weeks. So yeah,
Yeah, that was pretty green.
that was
That
a
was
very
pretty
green
green.
thing. Yeah,
That
so
was pretty
I
green.
yeah, I
Although
didn't
your
jump her.
choice of vet was not green.
Mm.
That was very sensible.
Thank
Plug.
you.
Yeah, that was very sensible.
Give me- Okay, so 2 truths, 1 lie for me. Okay, so the first time I jumped a spread, I fell off for literally no reason. The horse did everything right. The first time I cantered, it was a spook, and I was shouted to sit and go with it. And I jumped a technical show jumping course, including a dog leg, skinnies, and doubles after only riding for 3 weeks.
I feel like you told me that she shouted at you and told you just to go with it whenever you cantered, potentially. It also seems like something that you would potentially do.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like spreads are hard when you're learning to jump. Like, because they're wider, you're not expecting that.
I don't think I've ever seen you jump a dog leg in my life, so I'm gonna go with that one.
I don't even know what it is to this day.
A dog leg?
I
Is
see
that-
dog leg.
What? Yeah, what a weird name to call
Get Hollian.
my own dog. I'm gonna say oxer falling.
The Oxford fella you didn't.
What was it? Oh, the lie was the first time I cantered, it was a spook. So yeah. Wait, no, yeah, I did fall off at the Oxer. I got flung severely, but that wasn't on. That was on Kaz. Remember the day we went to
No
try him?
way your first oxer was Kaz.
Yeah. The day I went to try him. No, listen, the day I went to try him, she brought me down to the bottom arena at lessons, and we were jumping like on our own, and she was up the horse's like owner. She was like our age, younger than us. And she was like, yeah, work away. And then we rode him, and I fell off, and we came back up, and I was covered in sand. She's like, how'd you get on? And I could see her looking at the sand on me. I was like, yeah, great, I'll take him.
You were riding for so long and hadn't jumped an oxer.
I was only riding for like 3 months, my God, Cass.
Oh. Are you sure?
Yeah. I did a lot. Like, I jumped a show jumping course with dog legs and spreads within the first 3 weeks. I did a lot
You
of
shouldn't
my
have been
early
doing that.
my early career.
Now she realises.
Who made me do it?
Oh, I don't know.
Like, this is how you canter. Okay, now canter at a fence.
Now meter
Well,
40.
Well, that's
Literally,
another story. I
that's
jumped like a meter within like 2 months of riding.
That was also her doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she,
That's progression though. You know? You progress quick.
I can't even jump a crossbow now.
It's because I haven't taught you in a while.
That's a regression.
I have regressed so
She
hard.
went like peaked and then woof.
No, I literally peaked in 3 weeks.
3 weeks in and you were the bee's knees.
Yeah.
You're like, get me out competing now.
No, I would have like absolutely
Cleaned up.
cleaned up all over the dog leg. She was
All
jumping.
over the skinnies.
We cleaned all those dog legs up.
The skinnies was the 2 jump wings put together, so it was really skinny.
God.
Like, with the
Honestly though,
blocks.
like, it paid off. You know, we clearly were great.
She has no regrets.
Yeah, but this because it wasn't green and green, it was green and very, very not green.
I think we
Like
should do it
red,
again.
opposite end of the colour spectrum. Red.
Yeah,
Oh,
red.
that
And
feels
he
like
was
dangerous,
like
though.
he was really orange bay, so
Yeah, it was. We kidney boy.
Oh.
I think we should do it again.
bully me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Set me up just a dog leg and
If this podcast gets 10 shares,
that's so little. Gets 100 subscribers.
we will do a live.
I will.
Live!
And
No,
I'll
we
teach
need it.
Jamie.
No, we'll need to edit it all. I'm scared.
She's like crying or chasing her.
Alright, 100 followers or 100 subscribers?
100 subscribers on YouTube.
100 subscribers on YouTube. We will.
You'll set me up a course.
How
Yeah.
many email accounts can you make?
Oh, I can make
If you do
100.
If you're gonna say if you do 50, I'll do 50.
Alright, there we go.
Done.
Right, your
Okay,
tutors.
your turn.
I jumped 125 upright in the dark with no arena lights on a 14.2 pony when I was 15.
Right?
I hate reading stuff like this out. At 13, I had a horse that was only ridden in a Dutch gag, and I decided I wanted to do dressage, so I changed his bit to a snaffle the morning of the show, and then he bolted and I had no control and we came last.
Okay.
When I was younger, I entered show jumping on a horse that was far too strong for me, and I got so nervous and I forgot to breathe and I blacked out riding India Double.
I hope to God that the first one is the lie. You jump in a horse in the dark.
No, I think it's...
Pony?
Oh, sorry, a 14.
How high was the fence? 145 or something?
125. At
125.
I like to jump at 15. You were more sense than, you know, flick an arena light on. Or does not jump.
I assume there was no lights.
I think, well, see, to be fair,
Wait, we haven't exposed if that's truth or a lie, so we
You
can't get into that.
can't tell us, yeah. So.
I would like to think in that scenario there was no lights, but I do think that's true. I think
But
she's
then
told
even
me
if
a
there's
story
no lights,
before.
girl, why are you jumping in the dark? Just wait till the next day when it's daylight.
Yeah, like, literally wait 12 hours.
You will be fine.
I had to jump on the trend.
See, and this would be a situation where if the horse was green, she would have died. She would
Yeah.
have been more in black and blue, she would have been green.
Yeah, but she's lucky at the horse.
Sensible, I guess. I don't think the horse shouldn't have participated. She said no. No,
Well,
thank
that's
you.
mine. I'm going for that one.
I'm going
I hope
for-
that's the lie, is what I mean.
I'm going for the bottom one, the last one. I think that that sounds like a ChatGPT answer to me. And I would know. Okay.
Middle one. I didn't came last. He
Last.
He was very well paved and I came third and he got a 9 for his walk.
Was
And we never went back
What if-
into the
what
Dutch
if-
gag after that.
Oh, did you stay snuffled then?
Yeah, never
Oh,
went back.
what
a
if
good
third
success.
was last place?
There's like
We're
10.
going 3
Psych. No, there's like 10.
Fair play, well done.
Thank you.
That's a cute success story.
Yeah.
Snaffle Queen. Thank you very much for nibbling at this episode of the Sassy Mares podcast. I've been Ellie and you can find me at Ellie and Ralph Fun on Instagram and TikTok.
And I've been Amy. You can find me at Amy Copa on TikTok.
And I've been Robin. You can find me at RH Show Jumping on Instagram, Robin Hartley on TikTok.
And you can find the podcast on at the Sassy Mares podcast on Instagram and TikTok.
And YouTube and Spotify.
But you already know that.
Because you're nibbling on it right now.
Bye!